So today for the Bitcoin price, as many of you would have seen over the weekend, Bitcoin's had, well, the past 24 hours, Bitcoin's had a nice little pump of over $3,000, moving from the sort of mid 34s to the mid 37s. Now, we need to look at the charts to see if the volume's there to support that, or it's just retail buying up a bit of cheap Bitcoin over the weekend. Also, we're going to go over in today's rundown a bit of the news. As again, many of you know who've been looking at the charts or watching this channel or any other channels, you'll see the big cross of D is coming on the daily chart for Bitcoin. Now, we can't say the DEATH word because obviously we can't say this on YouTube, but we'll call it the cross of doom. Now, what we want to look at is an article that's come out, and we'll go through just the high cap of it to say that the cross of doom may not be a bad thing. So we need to look at this, go over the headline and determine whether this applies to us or we're just being tricked again into selling our Bitcoin cheap into the smart money hands. But if you want to find out more and that sounds a bit like you, stay tuned and let's get into the video. Hi, I'm Christian and this is Crypto Ripto, and today's rundown we're going to go over the Bitcoin price chart. Now, as we said in the intro, you would have seen over the weekend Bitcoin had a sort of a healthy pump of over $3,000 from the mid 34s to the mid 37s, but we're going to jump into the chart now and have a look if the volume is there to support it and what the chart's saying and what we can sort of try and edge our bets on and edge forward to see where Bitcoin's going to go in the next few days coming up. So as you can see, we was before, anyone watching the channel or the video would have seen that we was looking at this inverse head and shoulders to play out. Now obviously we had the shoulder here, the head here, we had a nice bit of volume here supporting this, so Bitcoin went sideways, and when it tested the neckline that anyone watching these channels would have known we put in a few days ago, when we sort of seen Bitcoin rising here to see if it was going to break that neckline, but unfortunately it got rejected here and it went on the downside. Now this was rejected on the sort of the 12th, so really that we've seen a bit of downside and sideways actions over the weekend, and then in the last 24 hours we've seen a big surge, a bit of a pump. Now as we said, we was going to look at the volume. Now there is a little bit of volume here, but it's not great. It's not like the mass volume. It's not like a surge of volume, like a high volume here. It's not as low volume here. It's like a mid-range. And if we go to the daily candle, the daily chart, the daily candle, the daily chart, you can see that the volume is not really there at all. Now we'll just zoom this chart down a bit and see there. You can see Bitcoin is still in an indecisive moment. Now this is why I said that we need to play a bit of caution. When Bitcoin decides like this, it could be either going up and it could either be going down. Now I know that's a cliche, but that's what the market is saying. Now with low volume like this, and with the candles being like the last daily candle being the same as today, but with low volume, we're probably likely to see Bitcoin go sideways for a little while. But as you know, at the weekends it's just the retail money just trading at the weekend. The smart money is not trading at the weekends. So when the market's open tomorrow, it'll be really interesting to see how they react to the small pump that's happened over the weekend. Will they see that they've been buying Bitcoin down here on this D line for around about the $32,000 mark and see it up to 37 and see that as an opportunity to try and push it down a bit more, because they want to see a retest of this low D line here, which is a 31,000 mark, before they start pushing the price up, which happens, you know, with anyone that's watched my channel, anyone knows that I'm all about watching the smart money investment. I'm all about the volume, the spread and the analysis, because obviously the volume that comes in, the spread of the body of the candle, and we analyze it with the chart. Now what I will say is that anyone looking to do a long trading in anything that had a chart like this, you would be staying away at the moment. But that doesn't mean that there's something going on in the wings with the smart money. Now obviously we'll go back to the 1 hour frame, and we've seen that the retail had a little a little buy up over the last 24 hours, and we've seen some nice volume come in here, and we've seen a little pump, and we've gone above this sort of 200-day moving average, and we're seeing this now go from a downtrend into an uptrend. But with these bars that shoot up like this now, these are long spread bars, you know, with very small wicks but high buying power. So when anything surges up like this, it's likely to get rejected at the neckline again and come back down, maybe retest this area around here of support from the last support line that we drew when we was looking at the test of the neckline, or we could be looking at a sort of fake breakout to break this neckline and then come back down, sort of like I'm not very good at drawing, but well, I'll try and draw it in. So we could be looking at something like, if I get the right tool, sorry about this. Yeah, well, I don't think we could be looking at something like this, gets rejected, goes down, bounces off this, and then sees an upside to test this again. Or we could be seeing that it hits here. This is what I'd like to see, a nice consolidation at the top here, and then break the neckline, retest it, and then on to the upside. But as we know, with anything at the moment, and with Bitcoin and crypto at the moment, anything is possible, because, you know, it's so volatile at the moment, and any of these breakouts at the moment you cannot trust. Now, we know we like to play the patterns. We had a W pattern here that played out. We had a massive inverse head and shoulders, which should have broken to the upside, but it didn't. So this is why I'm just saying air of caution with the Bitcoin price at the moment. Now, the volume to me is not massive. On the daily, it's really weak. On the 1 hourly, it's not too bad. On the 4 hourly, you'll see that the volume is low. You know, it's the same as the volume was here on the thing before we got rejected, and there's just one little bit up. To me, that's not crazy volume. Now, if we were looking for Bitcoin to make a massive trend move, we'd be looking for more volume here. Now, the only thing I will say is you're not going to get crazy volumes at the weekends, because like I say, it's retail money, the smart money is not there, so the big volume's not going to come in. But what we also need to remember is, on the big volume, we need to make sure that it's just not market makers trying to make the market to play the retail out, to shake more out, to get us euphoric again, break these little fake outs, start buying in to dump on us again, because they're brought in at these lower prices down here. So we need to make sure, and I'll urge anyone that wants to start looking at any trades, or wants to start looking at any investment or buying more Bitcoin. Now, again, this is not financial advice. This is just information for you to do your own research on and support with, to sort of take on your decision. But you would look for a break of this strong support here, which you can see has been holding up here, and all the way along here, and then a retest of this before we shoot up and start bringing this moving average to this to do a cross to put it back in an uptrend. Now, we're not going to see that obviously today and tonight with this kind of volume, but who knows what we might see this week, because as we said in the intro, and as we've been saying on the channel for a few days now, the all important D-cross is coming. Now, I'm a firm believer, even with this decision making here, that the smart money are watching this D-cross and they want to see it play out, because this will put a lot of fear into the market, and a lot of the retail will start dumping their Bitcoin cheap. Now, I urge anyone that's got the Bitcoin not to do that, because if you're not selling, they can't buy. Because obviously, you know how markets work. In order for someone to make money, you have to have a loser. So you have a winner and a loser, you have a buyer and a seller. Now, people that are selling Bitcoin far too low are just playing into the hands of the smart money. But if the smart money if there's no Bitcoin at these prices to be brought up, and they're not being able to manipulate the market at these prices, then the good market makers are going to come in, and we're going to start pushing Bitcoin up, because obviously we need some more, greed back into the market. The smart money can only make money when the greed is back into the market, and we need this. But if it's not there, Bitcoin gets a bit boring. Things could travel sideways for a while and even come back down to test this all important $31,000 mark, which seems to be the strongest support that we have. Now, I'll be looking for this to play sideways for a little bit in order to break this neckline, because I think we're not going to get a full D cross. We may get a kiss, or we may get a dip. The 200 moving average might dip its toe in and then we'll go back out. But I think we've been in this sideways action now, and the market's losing a lot of interest in Bitcoin for far too long. And the smart money know that. The people in crypto that have been in it, veterans and a long while, know that. So now we need to get Bitcoin, Ethereum, the altcoins more exciting, get the euphoria back into the market to continue this bull market that we're in. And yes, obviously there's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of YouTubers saying that, we're in a bear market now. And also you would have seen a lot of these, there's some great YouTubers out there, but you'll see a lot of FOMO and FUD and silly people saying that we was going to crash down. We may even hit 20k this weekend, blah, blah, blah. Bitcoin's on its way down. And that didn't happen, And they don't base this on anything other than just hunches, or they just put it in to sell the clickbait. Now, they don't do the technical analysis. They don't look at the volume analysis. They don't look at the spread. They don't look at what's happening within the market. They don't look at what's happening within the news. In order for all this to combine to happen, a lot of factors have to come into play. And none of these people that are predicting all this stuff that you hear on all the socials and stuff like that certainly the ones I've seen, don't have a lot of evidence to back it up on. The only thing that I would say airing a caution at the moment is with altcoins, because altcoins, if Bitcoin's doing well, the altcoins seem to stagnate or go down a little bit. So it may be the case that Bitcoin's sort of, overtaking and sort of reclaiming its bit of the Bitcoin season instead of the altcoin season. But if anyone's hodling and you're not panic selling, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Bitcoin, because you'll probably have a diverse portfolio anyway. It's important that Bitcoin does well, and it's important that the altcoins do well, right? Because all of us have probably got both of them in our portfolios. So, but for now, what I would say is all important for Bitcoin, and leave a comment in the comments below if you agree with me. But the reason I think it's more important for Bitcoin to get exciting at the moment than it is for the altcoins is because Bitcoin's the daddy of coins. This is the one that hits the news. This is the one that brings in all the, all the excitement, all the euphoria. This is like the proper marketing coin of crypto, if you ask me. Now, obviously some people might not agree with that, but for me, I think Bitcoin is the marketing coin of crypto. So when Bitcoin starts doing well and we see pumps and we see news and we see stuff about it, it brings a lot of excitement back into the market and a lot of euphoria, and that's what we want to see. So we'll just overcap that a little bit. I think why the 3,000 odd pump was nice, and it put Bitcoin back into the kind of sideways stagnant stage. I still think we need to air caution because the volume's not there. Now, just before we go into the news, I'm also just going to say this quickly about one thing. We know there's been a lot of market manipulation in Bitcoin, and we know that the smart money still is in a capitalization phase. This is the smart money, absolutely. All of this is the smart money buying up. It's trying to get what I call its capitalization, its consolidation. There's still a lot of companies that feel because of their own naivety, and you'll probably all agree with this, because of their own fear, their own naivety, there's a lot of big companies that didn't get into Bitcoin early enough. They didn't follow the likes of Tesla and sort of PayPal and stuff like that, etc., etc. But now they're seeing that they want to get into Bitcoin. They're seeing that Bitcoin's making massive gains for these kind of companies. It's becoming an asset class. It's the new, well, it is an asset class. It's the new kind of trendy asset class on the market. It's the one that has the most profitable growth out of any market that you'll see. And companies are thinking, how the hell did we miss the boat on this? hedge funds now are dedicating whole teams, old analysts, and I speak to some of these analysts from my banking contacts, and I know some of these big funds that you probably won't even hear about are dedicating teams of analyst people now to Bitcoin to get their exposure, because they're saying it's putting them ahead of the game with the growth, even when people think Bitcoin's crashing, and you know, because we've been overspoiled with $60,000 Bitcoins. Bitcoin at $37,000-$40,000 is still way high compared to what it was at the end of last year. So in the space of 6 months, we're still at a good place with Bitcoin at the moment, and you'll see we'll go back to the daily, and you'll see from the daily that, you know, where we were sort of like back in sort of December was way down here, you know. Look at this on December, and we're all the way up here, and we're still going sideways here. This is consolidation and capitalization of the smart money. We wanted the smart money in there because we wanted Bitcoin to go high. Some of us were naive to how the smart money works and what problems that brings, but it doesn't matter. We're riding it out. We're going to see it. But look at this volume up and down. Look at this market action now, you know. And this is all around here. This is even more so than Bitcoin getting to its all-time high. Look at the volume when Bitcoin got to its all-time high. People then realized how good, how cool Bitcoin is, and they wanted to manipulate it. And this is where the manipulation began. Well, personally, I think it began here by grooming it up. But I mean, when they put it into action, when they put the plan into action, and this is why you see the big volumes coming. The amount of money coming in and out of Bitcoin here is scary to some markets. It's scary to some companies, because they're saying, yeah, Bitcoin's too volatile, it's too risky, and mate, if you can't handle the heat, as they say, get out the kitchen and stop manipulating it. Let the people that have been in crypto, that in my opinion, that have made Bitcoin what it is, that have stuck with Bitcoin for years. And that doesn't mean to say that new people can't come into Bitcoin, because they can. You know, it's good. It's good that people are embracing Bitcoin now, but we just want to leave all the rubbish out. So the reason I just told all that boring story was because obviously I just want new people, and this channel is aimed at a lot of new people, because obviously the stuff that I say, probably veteran YouTubers probably know, or no, not even YouTube, sorry, crypto people already know. But we don't want anyone getting wrecked just through not having knowledge or naive of not Bitcoin or not crypto. This is markets. What's happening in Bitcoin is not new to crypto. It happens in markets with smart money. So that's what we're trying to avoid here. But at the moment, this big cross has not happened. Bitcoin's gone sideways. It's bouncing off this support like it did here. When it had its last capitalization and consolidation phase before it had a big pump, it had a massive kind of, you can have a look, it's like kind of similar. You see a steady decline, couple of bounces, and then up. This one's just having a lengthier, steadier decline and a bounce up. But I can explain a little bit why I think this is a lot lengthier, is because here there was not as much fear and there was more greed in the market, because everyone was excited off this, and it, you know, laser eyes were coming and etc, and everyone was euphoric. Here everyone's sort of took a battering from this, is a bit more fearful. But obviously as time goes on and as Bitcoin starts creeping up, I think a lot of the people will come back into the market, and they'll understand that with this amount of volume going on, with this amount of action going on in Bitcoin, and without the manipulation and the silly tweets and a lot of the scam stuff that's going on, in my opinion, and it is scam stuff because it's the rob rich and the poor yet again, in my opinion, we will see a healthy rise in Bitcoin. Now, just before we just sign off on Bitcoin, all I'll say is that this week is going to be an absolutely fundamental week for Bitcoin in this big decross here. So we'll do a lot of videos this week monitoring this and seeing how the market reacts to this, because because when the smart money are playing around with the market, it might not be obvious to everyone, but this leaves a footprint. The volume leaves a footprint of what they're doing. The action leaves a footprint of what they're doing, how the spread of the candles do. So we'll keep a close eye of this through this week and see if we can get the head of the game with the with the smart money. And this week in particular, because of the volatility that I think is going to happen, I'll personally will be doing a lot of trades this week over on Bybit, because I think this week's going to be a good volatile week for Bitcoin. And I sort of know where my price predictions are going to be. I've already this weekend put my trading plan together to see what's going to come out of that, and it will be an interesting week. So that's what we're going to say for Bitcoin. Now we're going to move on to the news. So we'll just run through the news, and I just wanted to talk about really just one piece of news, which was about that's why I just left that touch on the decross till late, because the bit of news article that we want to go through here is about this decross. Now I'll leave a link in the description to my website with the article on. All you got to do is go to the Bitcoin news in cryptoripto.com, and you'll see on there all the news is courtesy provided with permission from Cointelegraph. So you can see it on there as well. But what I do is I scrape the important news that I think, and I consolidate it on cryptoripto.com to what I think will be relevant to the people that view my channel. Because as you know, on Cointelegraph and all the stuff like that, there's so much news, there's so much to go through. You know, it's not always easy to find what I feel will be relevant for you. So that's my job. So I claw and scrape that, and we bring the best news articles. So we know there's been a lot of fear about this big decross over the past few days and weeks. So we're just going to go into the news now, and as you can see here, here's our Bitcoin's independent decross could be a contrarian buy signal. Now that's contradicting to what a lot of people say. They say when we see the decross, you've got to sell, Bitcoin's going to fall to, I've heard some people saying $10,000. Now nothing's impossible in crypto, we know that, but I would say very, very unlikely we're ever going to see Bitcoin at $10,000 again, even in the bear market. If we see Bitcoin, we might see a wick dip in and out there, but we're not going to see a steady price of $10,000 in Bitcoin, in my opinion. We might see Bitcoin in the bear market drop down to 20, but A, I don't think we're in a bear market yet, and B, we're a long way off from that. So, but this is what people want you to think. The news is geared to manipulate the market. You know, a lot of people manipulate the market with the news, but this says Bitcoin traders are sitting on their hands after spotting the decross on the daily chart, but could this be a buy signal for contrarian investors? So what this is saying is the smart money want to see the decross sort of happen, because they know the retail are going to panic, they're going to dump their Bitcoin, and they're going to buy it back even cheaper, which comes back to my previous statement in the video to say that big companies are feared that they're not getting into crypto cheap enough, and they've left it quite late. They're jealous of Tesla's getting in at the 33s and pumping up, and then they had a second chance to get into it. But now I feel they're getting a bit more greedy, and they're wanting to get in lower because they're making so much money off it. And I know that because I've done articles in my other videos how hedge funds have been making 1.6 billion off of 600 million investments and stuff like that in the space of 4 or 5 months. And when you get any nice bite of a cherry like that, you're going to want to come back for a second bite of the cherry, and that's what's happening. So I don't personally think this decross is all bad news. I won't go through the whole article because it'll just make the video too long, but if you go over to cryptoripto.com and you go on to the Bitcoin news, you'll see the top news article is all about this decross, and also it's good because it'll explain to you what the decross means and how accurate is it, and how accurate it has been in past markets and in past markets on crypto and the Bitcoins decross in years past. And it gives you a whole insight of information to maybe put your mind at ease, and you can make your own mind up then if this decross is valid. And I just want to point out some key takeaways for people that want to look at it, saying decross can also at times be used as a contrarian signal, so when they are spotted, traders should look for other indications on the chart to spot a possible bottom. So what that is saying is it could be not as bad as you think. You need to look at what the other signals are saying and what the other things are saying to say there could already be a bottom, which a lot of people are saying, what is that D line of 31,000? And this could play out if this decross comes in, but there's no saying this decross is going to happen. So if any of you watching this video is worried about the decross, pop over to cryptoriptor.com, have a look at this article, and it will give you a lot better understanding. It's if you go to cryptoriptor.com homepage, and excuse the widgets, it's got some cool stuff on there, just tells you about how the market's going, the buy signals and stuff like that. And then you can go to it's got other news on there, but in the Bitcoin news you'll see the top one, courtesy here, it says all courtesy of Cointelegraph, and bang, there it is. You can just have a look and it'll put your mind at rest. So hopefully all the scare tactics and all the FUD and FOMO that's sort of coming out in the market at the moment will not affect you, and you'll be sort of a bit more educated, a bit more wise, and a bit more informative going into your week of portfolio reshuffling, trading, or just hodling. So I hope this has been great education for you and a great bit of information. Please subscribe, hit the bell button, slap a like. It does really great for the video. It keeps me happy, it keeps you happy, it keeps me excited bringing all this content with you. I spend hours and hours on technical analysis, reading books about trading, looking at what the smart money does. I don't really look at retail money that much because I don't think the retail money is having that much of a massive impact on the crypto market at the moment. It's a lot of the manipulation from the smart money, so I need to know what that's doing to try and educate my viewers, because that's what we want to do. We want to we will never beat the smart money, but we might as well join it and try and, as some of the people that think on here, and a big book that I read called Trading in the Shadows of the Smart Money, we want to follow in the shadows of the smart money. So again, I'm Christian, this is Crypto Ripto. Massive thank you for watching my video, I really appreciate it, and as always, stay safe, trade smart, and don't get wrecked.